Thank you for joining the Professional Quotient Podcast, Conversations that Build Equity. These conversations are meant to really lift people up and help them put their best foot forward in the professional world. And it's brought to you by our sponsor, MarketScale, who does the same thing for companies around the globe, helping them put their best foot forward by turning their subject matter experts into content creators. So be sure to check them out. And now, we are going to have a conversation that builds equity with a very special guest. I'm excited to share with you a conversation with a really cool guest today. But let me first tell you how I met her. Several years ago, I came into a new role, and it was quite prominent for me, and I had access to a lot of information that she was seeking. And she is known for her tough questions, and let me tell you, she came at me, and she wanted to have the information. Why doesn't she already have the information? And let me tell you that at moments like this, I think we're always challenged. Do you get upset with somebody who's asking you tough questions, or do you see the passion that's burning underneath their eyes? I chose the second, and I got to tell you that our guest today is a super passionate leader and community builder. Now, we're going to hear from our very special guest, Olivia Barr. Welcome to the show, Olivia.
Yes, thank you so much for having me, Jason. I'm so happy to be here. Yes, as Jason stated, when I first met him, I was looking for some numbers. I am a CPA by trade, and so for me, I'm automatically wanting to make sure I'm reporting accurate numbers, and I didn't have all the information, so I looked no further than who was responsible, and that was Jason at the time.
And to be fair, what I also heard in that conversation was there are pieces missing in the basically the project, because I would take those numbers and share them, and by the time they got to you, stuff wasn't all displaying. And so it was a great way to highlight there's something not working, and I'm trying to do, and the importance of it.
Right.
So you did share with me that you are passionate about the community you're building up, wanting to have those numbers to kind of really showcase your own growth, to see it and to say, hey, was this an impactful event or wasn't it? And so I totally get why you are very passionate about it. And what I also saw was, here's someone that I want to make sure that I'm close to, because she's a go-getter. And I would like to, the way I would describe Olivia to anyone that doesn't know her is as a go-getter who is kind of the proverbial candle with it's burning at both ends. Olivia is a go-getter, and she has multiple business ventures, but I'm going to let Olivia, why don't you tell us about what you do and the fullness of Olivia?
So, day to day, I like to tell people I am a problem solver, and I like to take problems and think about it from end to end. So some of the things that I notice is, like, when people have projects or they have a problem, they're really quick to solve for those problems, but they don't necessarily solve for the right problem. So one of the things I like to do is sit back and say, okay, what is the root cause? And then let's make sure we can identify possible solutions before we implement those solutions. But also just making sure that we're taking a conceptual approach and thinking about it from a practical standpoint, walking through the end to end. And sometimes that's missed or overlooked, and the importance is very significant, because at the end of a project, you may not get the results that you're looking for, and therefore now you have some lesson learned, you have some failures, and then there are some takeaways that you need to do to improve your process.
Can you give an example of a time when you've been working on a project and something like that happened where you were like, I need to fix this process along the way?
So that happens more often than not, that I'm getting into those situations. Okay. And one of the things I like to do is I like to say, okay, how can we make it better? I'm always about process improvement. Mm-hmm. So when I am tasked with a project, one of the things I'm always doing is saying, let me maybe challenge the status quo. Like, just because we've done it this way, is that really the right way that we should be doing it? Is there a better way? And so that's what I often do in my role. I'm always looking at different different ways of approaching a problem and then saying, okay, let's think of all possible solutions, not just the one that immediately comes to mind.
Mm-hmm. And do you find that people are generally receptive or not receptive to new ideas on changing what's been done?
So I think you're always going to have some form of resistance to change. People are always going to want to revert back to what's normal and familiar with them. But I think one of the things that I'm always challenged to do is meet people where they are and then get them to that place. And so when people are resistant to change, why are they resistant to change? Is it too much change at the same time? Is it that they don't understand the process? And more often than not, it's maybe one or a combination of those two factors. And so when you're introducing change within a group or a function, one of the things you need to do is say, hey, what's in it for them? Like, why would they care? How is this going to save them? How is it going to benefit them? And I think if you take that type of approach versus I'm just trying to put something on you, then they're going to be a little bit more receptive to it.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Well, let's step back and talk more about what you do in a day-to-day fashion. What does your day-to-day look like as a professional?
So as a professional, I'm up pretty early, everyone. I'm up at around 4 a.m. Why 4 a.m.? Because I'm at the gym to do boot camp. I'm either doing boot camp classes or I am practicing Zumba. I'm a certified Zumba instructor. And so for me, that early morning time is very important. And so I'll take at least an hour in the morning to go to the gym and work out. And then after that, as part of my cool down, I like to go to the sauna and meditate and pray. That's very important because I believe it sets the tone for the day. And so for me, I use that time to really have a really deep dive conversation with God. And I use the with prayer. I don't know if you've ever heard of the with prayer.
Tell me.
So I learned the with prayer at church. And it's something that they actually teach the children. And I love it. So with is talking about how wonderful God is. And so I start with praise.
Okay.
Yes. And then I'm sorry, what have I fallen short on?
Everything. Sorry. Sorry, yeah.
No, but we have a lot of things that we've fallen short, and I do want to recognize those things.
Yeah.
T, thankfulness, my gratitude. What has God helped me to achieve, and what have I overcome? And then H, help. I think sometimes when we go to God, we're always going with our request, but I like to end it with my request because I want Him to know how wonderful and how great He's been in my life and how appreciative I am for the blessings that He has bestowed.
I like that.
I call it the with prayer. It's an easy way. I teach it to my children.
Great.
So
I like that. I like that a lot. Absolutely.
But besides that, so after that, I am off to my job, and I work as a senior product manager in commercial real estate. And so my day changes every day. There could be a new project, a new task, a new idea, or something that comes through the business. And so I work with a team, and that's what we do. We tackle these projects. We work with these initiatives. We're very strategic with our transformations and our change management and adoption of these solutions that we implement in our business. And then outside of that, so that's so
Zumba instructor and a full-time job. Go.
And then I get to do what I'm very passionate about, which is travel. I am a Caribbean island travel SME. That's what I call myself. Why do I say that? Because I am actually certified through a lot of the different island travel tourism boards. So whether it's Antigua, St. Lucia, Bahamas, Jamaica, for a bulk of those islands, I'm actually certified, and I've done a lot of education and knowledge training. And I think that's very important because if I am working with people who are interested in traveling to the Caribbean, my knowledge or my discussions is not just based on online reviews. I actually go down and travel to the Caribbean so that I can provide firsthand experiences and recommendations. And so I love that. I love being able to share my knowledge and insights to travelers. And on top of that, y'all are still not done.
Yeah, exactly.
I am a CPA, and so I do have a consulting business, and that was actually born out of the pandemic.
Okay.
And I love that because I get to assist small business owners with their entity registration, with all their startup needs, and I love being able to work with small business owners because sometimes you're just so focused in the details, you don't really realize some of the legalities that your business needs to do.
Absolutely. Anything else?
I know, right?
Do you sleep?
I sleep. I actually do sleep, but I don't sleep a lot because my day is pretty jam-packed. And for me, I want to make sure my days are productive. So I'm really focused on that. I'm very intentional with my time.
So on this podcast, I really like to showcase what different jobs are even available to people out there. Like what kind of roles can people get involved, so that a lot of times, especially when you're new in your career or when you're still a student, you just don't know what you don't know. And you've given me a lot to work with here. So you're a CPA. Let's start there. Is that something that you need formal education on? And how did you get into that? Is that something you were always passionate about?
So, interesting enough, I never thought I was going to be a CPA. I actually went to school and I was minoring in dance. Like that, my passion truly is dance. And I got into a really bad car accident and I had to drop dance, unfortunately. And so in college, it left me struggling to figure out what was going to be my next career move. At the time, I was an MIS major, so Management Information Systems major. But as I was going to different career fairs, I realized that there wasn't a strong job market for that. So I decided, okay, what am I going to do? I'm a junior now, and I need to pivot before I graduate. And so I took my first accounting course at a community college during the summer, and I was like, oh, this is easy. This is a puzzle. That not everybody looks puzzle. Like that.
Okay.
I look at accounting as a puzzle. Debits and credits, they all have to fit somewhere. And so I said, oh, well, I guess I could become a CPA. I mean, I guess I can go into accounting. And so I talked to the advisor, and they're like, well, you should become a CPA. And I was like, what? Wait, what is that? What do I have to do? And so once I learned the criteria, which is 150 credit hours at the time, I was like, oh, that also means I need to get my master's. So I'll be going to school longer than I thought I was going to. But I did that. I actually became involved with an organization called the National Association of Black Accountants. They provided scholarships for me, and that's really kind of what drove my career into accounting and getting my CPA. Without that organization, I probably wouldn't have become a CPA. And they were like, and so typically the route when you want to pursue and become a CPA is you go into public accounting. So that I just did what everybody else was to do. You go into public accounting. I did my internships first and started my career in public accounting as an auditor.
Oh, that's cool.
And so, which was a really, really great exposure. I got to work with a variety of different clients and different industries. And then I decided to pivot into industry, and I went into commercial real estate. Had no idea that that's where my career was going to go, but I went into that direction, and from there I've stayed in commercial real estate.
How? What was it that drew you into commercial real estate out of all the different industries that are there that you could have pivoted into, probably? Because accounting opens the doors in a lot of different business, because everybody has an accountant team. So was it just that was something that was available? Did you know somebody? How did you get drawn into commercial real estate out of all the industries?
Connections. I'm already going to tell you that. Somebody was already, who I knew from public accounting, said, hey, Olivia, there's a really great opportunity at this company. Come join me. And that's exactly what I did.
Nice. Okay.
So it's who you know sometimes.
It absolutely is, yes. It's a big part of it. And then the third business, travel.
Yes.
I'm guessing that you have a passion for travel that would have gotten a little bit of igniting that flame. But you tell me, how was it that you got involved with being in travel?
So I am the daughter of a military brat. So I'm used to uprooting, moving to different places, and I've lived in a variety of different places, both stateside and in Europe. And so I've always had this passion of moving around and exploring different cultures. What was actually the moment where I decided that I wanted to take this further is my friends and I decided that we wanted to experience a Caribbean festival. And I didn't know where to start. I mean, I travel. I've done solo trips and everything, but this was an island I'd never been to. And so I said, okay, we need to hire somebody to help us with all the planning and logistics. And so I met with this company for over a year and we paid our money, we thought everything was fine. And then we landed on the island and it was a disaster.
Oh no.
We ended up paying for items out of pocket. There was no on-ground support. We had issues with with our packages, and so we didn't have anybody on site to help with any of the vendor disputes. And I, just being the person that I am, stepped in. I was like, no, this can't happen. We paid our money. We want what we paid for.
Yes.
And it wasn't just for myself. It was actually for that vendor's other clients. And so for me, I felt like it was very important to get a resolution. And I worked very hard with these various different vendors on the ground to make sure that not only myself, but those other clients were taken care of, and they were, to the point where I was getting woken up when there was issues. Olivia, can you come help? And so I said, wait, maybe there's an opportunity for me to take this further.
Absolutely.
And I did. I decided,
maybe I should be getting paid for this.
Yes, I was like, I'm doing unpaid work over here. What is this? I am not on anyone's payroll.
Absolutely, yeah. But that's a cool way to break into a new industry, is to just do it. Well, that's cool. So you broke it, and why don't you tell us about your business a little bit? Just spotlight it a little bit. What's the name of your company?
Okay, so Caribbean Island Festivals is a U.S.-based travel concierge company that assists travelers with Caribbean experiences combined with immersive travel. So anything from so we take care of all the planning and logistics from your villa and hotel accommodations, island tours, event access, ground transportation, photography. We work with a variety of different vendors on island to be able to put together customized packages. But what we're really good at is having support. That's before, during, and after your trip.
Okay.
So one of the things I just completed was a destination wedding in Anguilla.
Nice.
And very beautiful. It was this client's bucket list. And we had all types of issues that started unraveling. But with the client having me in to step in and be between the vendor and the client, it actually helped to make the process so much better. The client wasn't getting any responses from the vendors, but when I responded and I stepped in, then there was action that was taken. And so the client felt like the client valued that very much, especially if you're getting married.
Absolutely.
Who wants to be stressed on their wedding day?
No, I mean, there's a lot of stresses to any wedding coming up, and there's always going to be pivots and what are we going to do for this? And so it sounds like you're being able to really be there at a time of when they need that kind of help to take stress off and enjoy their time more.
Yes. No 1-800s or call centers over here. No. I will step in. And I've had to, whether it's going back just to make sure that at the end of the day, the client is getting what they paid for.
Sure.
And that's very important to me.
Absolutely.
And I always put myself in their shoes. I wouldn't recommend any place that I myself wouldn't stay. And any issues that arise, I make sure that how would I feel if I was the customer. So I take those things very seriously.
Well, and I happen to know that you do go and visit every place that you send people to and set stuff up to. So that absolutely, yeah. You're also, something we didn't touch on is that you have direct reports in your day job.
Yes.
What's that like, being a manager of others? Because before you share with us, I will just speak on your behalf on the fact that I have seen you go above and beyond for your teammates. I've seen you take your own time and your own resources to visit people at times of need. I've seen you pull people together for fun, engaging activities, both locally and beyond. So there's a lot there that I see where you have passion for people, but I'm curious what it's like to have direct reports for those that are listening that don't, and maybe they want to be a manager one day, or so tell us about what that's like.
I like having direct reports, as I always feel like it's from a mentor perspective. I'm hoping to grow somebody, and whether you're actually looking to climb the ladder or if you just want to stay, you're very content, I'm there to support you. I feel like as a manager, that's what we're there to do. And so I meet you where you are. Let's come up with some goals. Let's make sure they're achievable goals. Like, do we feel like this is what you know you're able to do? And I want to support you there, whether it's from education, from an education perspective, from in person, whatever I can do to get you to what you're looking to accomplish in your career. I think that's very important. One of the things I hear a lot, especially when people are leaving organizations, is they feel like they weren't supported by their managers. That's a common thing I hear. So for me, I want to make sure I'm taking time to listen. I want my direct reports to feel like they're heard. And I also want them to feel like I have, like, if there's any issues that arise with clients or anything of that nature, I want them to know that I do have their back.
Sure.
And so sometimes people feel as though they're just left hanging. And I wouldn't want to feel that way. And so I really take the lead in ensuring that if those are the type of things that happen, hey, that's what I'm here for. You don't have to do this alone.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that. I was just curious because I know not every one of my guests so far have direct reports, and I don't think that that's been brought up yet, because there are probably people that are listening that are thinking about taking a role that has direct reports for the first time, and they might be nervous about taking that on. Like, I don't know, how will that be? And so that's the reason I asked, so thank you for that. And then another part of these conversations that build equity is that we talk about what you feel is most important within your professional equity. So your skills, knowledge, your experience, your education, or your community or network around you. Out of those things, what do you feel is most valuable to you right now?
To me, it's my connections with people. People are a very strong component of it, because when you connect with people, you never know what other people they know. And one of the things we always talk about, and I always try to tell people, is what you're looking for is for people to speak about you when oh gosh, how do I say this? You're looking for people to speak for you behind closed doors. So when you're not around. But they can't do that if they don't know you. And so for me, that is very important, that I'm building genuine connections, because we're not talking about surface level. No, we really want people you really want to have those connections with people where it's genuine, where they feel like it's genuine, where it's mutually beneficial. You're not having a relationship with them just as one-sided. So for me, when I think about that, and I think about all the people who I've met throughout my career, I mean, I still talk to people when I was in public accounting. Like, we still have good relationships. Yeah. And people will recognize me even from, like, I can be at an airport. I was at an airport the other day, and someone was like, Olivia. It's someone who I hadn't worked with since they were in Atlanta. And so I think about, for me, that's very important when you're thinking about that equity that you build with people.
As you were saying this, I was recalling, when you went to the Smart Sheets conference, didn't they use your face on like something that was on every table or something?
Yeah, so I like to say I was Smart Sheet famous. That's what I call it, Smart Sheet famous.
Yes.
So my coworker and I, we've been attending, we attended our first Smart Sheet conference maybe about 2 or 3 years ago. And we were just having fun taking pictures of ourselves, doing selfies and everything. And the next year that we returned to the Smart Sheet conference, lo and behold, our pictures of us taking selfies are all throughout the conference. And I was floored. I was so ecstatic. I was telling everybody, y'all, we're Smart Sheet famous. And then it was on Instagram. I was like, listen. But it was funny because it wasn't a planned moment. I didn't even know that they had taken the picture. But we were just in the moment having a good time. And we were thinking about, we wanted to make sure we captured that moment. And lo and behold, it was captured.
Olivia is somebody that likes to capture the moments. So if you follow her on anything, whether it's LinkedIn, Instagram, like, you're going to see where she's at. And I think it's helpful. Like, it was you being able to do that. There's a lot of times I'll go to an event that was super fun and all that, and if I don't take pictures, like, there's something that later, a year from now, you don't have that memory as strong as when you have a photo that pops up and you're like, oh yeah, that was great fun. So I always appreciate that you're there. And when I know you're there, I'm like, oh good, I know I don't need to take a photo. Yes. Awesome. Now, also within PQ, we're looking at like that advice you would give. If somebody's looking at you saying, oh my goodness, Olivia's up here and I haven't even really entered into the market yet, or maybe they're considering career pivoting into any of the industries that you're in, what kind of advice would you give to someone?
Talk to people in the industry. Know what, that way you kind of have an idea of what to expect. Most of the times when I am pivoting or going into a different field, I want to make sure I'm educating myself so I can have realistic expectations. I think sometimes we don't do enough research, and then you're kind of left with failure because you're feeling like, well, this is not what I wanted, or this is not what I expected, which that can happen. But I also feel like this is where that people component really shapes, because if you're looking to make those type of transitions, talk to people who are already there. Again, how I even pivoted into commercial real estate, somebody was already in that field who I knew from public accounting, and that's kind of how I was able to make that pivot. But they were able to kind of give me some insights and share some pointers about what I can expect, and that really did help. So again, don't take it for granted with building your network and work and having those genuine connections with people, because you never know where those are going to lead. Whether it's in your career, you don't know where to start. And if they're not the right person, they can also connect you to somebody who could help you.
Sure. So how would you say, if somebody's saying, I'm hearing you, I need to talk to somebody in the industry, how do you reach out to somebody that's in that industry if you don't know them already?
You know what? So that's a good question. Get involved. I think that's a good way to get started. Yeah. So I am actually very involved. I am a member of the Dallas Alliance of Black Accountants. And that's a great way that if I'm if I was a person in accounting and I wasn't sure of like my next career path, that is a great network of people that you can connect with, but you can engage with them. So you engage, you learn about them, and then you can build off from there. So getting connected with organizations that are in that industry definitely helps, because then you're not only learning about that industry, but you're also making the connections with people who you can learn from.
Who will be helpful in your career. Even if they don't help you get a job, they might be the right person that has knowledge that you need at some point. Or, there's so many benefits to getting engaged. Great answer on that, yes. Now, the other part of being a professional is that there's oftentimes obstacles that we have to overcome in our growth. Are there any obstacles you've overcome that you feel comfortable sharing with us here?
So I would say a really good one is actually being able to come and speak here. I have always been a person who's been afraid of public speaking. The reason why, and I'll just be honest and open, is when I was younger, I had a speech impediment. And so because of that, I was very self-conscious. I really didn't want to engage with people. I was really the person that was in the back. I was very shy. And I was able to overcome that, but it took a lot of time, a lot of years. And even in my career, I really wasn't as outspoken and vocal because I was just always scared. And it was just really this fear. And I would say what kind of helped me to really overcome that is me joining, like at my job, some of the employee business resource groups. So rather than just being a member, I actually got into a leadership role. And that actually forced me to be able to talk with people, build connections, learn and grow. And I think because of that, that's where I've really seen it like really grow exponentially versus how if I wasn't in those leadership roles. And so for me, kind of helping to overcome that career is being able to be in those leadership roles where you do have other leaders who are looking at you. And now you have a spotlight on you. And now they're going to ask more questions. And that can also help you to be able to pivot into something else. So if you were stagnant or you weren't really happy, or you're just looking for a different challenge, getting involved, getting on a committee or being in a leadership role gives you those opportunities that you may not necessarily had if you just weren't engaged.
Mm-hmm. And I'd love to add to that thought that when you get engaged in that, you don't have to start out as a leader. No. You do start out as a member, but you can always offer your assistance to anybody that's leading any committee or any group, because there's always more that needs to be done, and nobody's going to turn down extra help. So you could come and say, hey, maybe can I do the one that does the photos and the videos of the event? Sure, here's the phone, go. Or you got a phone, go. I'll take my phone back. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, there's lots of ways to get involved, and I think just getting engaged, period, whether you're a leader or not, they're stepping stones. So when you just volunteer to help on something, you get to basically shadow Olivia while she's leading a group, and then you can then feel more confident if it's your turn to lead a group next. It's like, how did Olivia start that meeting? That was a great way to start it. Or Olivia didn't do a great job starting that meeting, so I'm going to do it a little different. But either way, we're learning from people. Yes. I've never been in a meeting where you started it out. But we can always learn from leaders, good and bad, sure. and there's so much, but just getting engaged is definitely the key. Thank you for that. And is there something that you would like to spotlight here while we have these lights on you and we're sitting at the beach?
Well, of course, with this beautiful beach background, I have to put more of a spotlight on my business, Caribbean Island Festivals. And so, again, I'm really, truly passionate about travel. I'm really, truly passionate about helping people. One of the things that I see a need for is really helping women travelers, especially to be safe. So when I am helping my clients, and most of my clients are women, I'm coming from a space of, as a solo woman traveler who's been on different continents by myself, how would I be prepared? And what are some tips and insights that I can share so someone else can be prepared? One of the things that I tell women, which people may or may not agree with, but I always tell women, and this is men or women, when you're traveling, I know a lot of people say, oh, I'm going to pull money out, like the currency out at the airport. But especially if you're traveling by yourself, I rarely suggest doing that, because you never know who's watching you at the airport, and that puts a target on you. Mm-hmm. So it's those type of insights that I provide to my clients, just so that they can be informed and safe when they're traveling.
Mm-hmm. And are people able to get in touch with you if they'd like to, if they've listened to this podcast and they're like, wow, I want to connect with her?
Yes, so you can connect with me on LinkedIn, Olivia Barr. That's my professional profile. If you're interested in my travel, which I love and I'm passionate about, you can find me also on LinkedIn under Caribbean Island Festivals. I'm also on Instagram under Caribbean Island Festivals. You'll see a beautiful logo. That's me. And we're just here to help you. We just want to make sure when you take your next escape, and it could be Caribbean, it can be beyond, that you are informed, safe, and you have a fun and immersive experience.
Thank you, Olivia. Thank you for your time and coming here. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us before we close?
That's a good question. I don't.
How about a guest? Is there anybody you'd like to recommend that we bring onto the show?
Oh, yes. There's actually a great person. Her name is Lamitra Off. She's a really good business coach. I actually started working with her through a networking event, through a contact that I knew. And I've actually been meeting with her, and she's really been a great help. And I think that she would be a really great person to share her insights on business and this professional equity.
Awesome. Well, I would love your help connecting, yes. And I would love to bring them on. So perfect. If you are listening to this episode and you've enjoyed it, please like, share, subscribe, and leave a positive review. And remember that unlike our IQ or our EQ, we can easily, did I say that wrong? I sure did. Unlike our IQ or our EQ, we can easily raise our PQ every single day. Just keep learning, growing, and connecting. Until next time.